Welcome to the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival presented by Visual Communications. Hi everyone, my name is Isil Borlasa and I'm one of the programmers here at the Fest. On behalf of the festival family, thank you for being here with us at C3 Converse presented by Nielsen. If you hung out with us last week, welcome back. If you're new this week, we're glad to have you. We're in for a great afternoon of film, conversation, and community. On that note, let us know where you're zooming in from and drop it in the chat. I'm coming to you live from Long Beach, California, and in my small part in disrupting colonial structures, I want to acknowledge and uplift the Tongva and Quiche nations who are the original stewards of this land. While we're getting to know each other in the chat, we'd like to thank everyone for their help for making this festival possible, especially the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Comcast NBC Universal, California Arts Council, SAG-AFTRA Producers Industry Advancement and Cooperative Fund, the National Endowment for the Arts, and HBO and Warner Media. And special thanks to all of our community partner organizations for their valuable work and for continuing to support VC all throughout the year. And a special shout out to the Fest staff for LAAPFF 2020. I see you, thank you for grinding, and thank you everyone for coming to enjoy the festival with us. I hope you can hang out with us for the entire afternoon for conversations with the Celine Archive, The Girl Who Left Home, filmmakers from the Female Gay Shorts program, and a special panel just in time for FAM, the Panais who are pipelining new talent at NBC Universal. But now let's get into the first panel of the day. Please welcome our programmer friend, Anderson Lay.
Thank you, Asil. Hello, everyone. My name is Anderson. I'd like to thank everyone for making this festival possible. Before we start this, going to be this really fun panel talking about this really fun film called The Paper Tigers. But first of all, thank you to all of our festival sponsors, and special thanks to all of our community partner organizations for their valuable work and continue to support video communications. Shout out to our friends at VALA, Vietnamese Arts and Letters Association, and also especially to Issa Lay, one of the is the founder of the organization, one of the co-founders, and also they also spearhead the Vietnamese International Film Festival that happens in October, but because of the pandemic, they postponed it till next year. So without further ado, I want to introduce our.
Hello, VC. Shout out Vala.
How's it going? So actually, I will introduce you, Bao Tran. Bao Tran, the writer-director of The Paper Tigers. You've been a VC alum. I've seen you at the festival for many years. You've shown your previous short at the festival. You're pretty much a stronghold when it comes to not only the Asian Pacific American filmmaking community, but also homegrown in Seattle. You're like a strong of the Seattle indie film scene, and this film has got aside from it being a really fun film and really kind of has kind of the DNA that make up your love for cinema, especially Hong Kong cinema. But you are definitely very much it's a very community oriented film, and it was completely crowdfunded, crowdsourced. Name it, and especially as a champion of kind of the Pacific Northwest and the indie filmmaking scene there. So, but Bao, can you introduce your esteemed team members from the Paper Tigers who are part of this panel today?
Yes, thanks all for having me. Like you said, I do like to hang around VC, even when I don't have a film. I often feel like the guy who dropped out of high school but still hanging out in the senior parking lot. Mostly because of the free booze. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anytime there's like a Heineken or a Asahi beer and you've got a backpack on and shorts on, that's Bao. That's Bao right there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming. I will introduce our cast and crew. We have our producer, Yuji Okamoto.
Hey guys, thanks for having us. Appreciate what you guys do at VC.
We have our three Tigers, Elaine Oy, and is Ron here?
Ron is on another call, but he'll hop on in about 5 minutes.
Okay, so Ron will be shortly coming in shortly, and we have Mikhail Shannon Jenkins in the house.
What's up?
Here he is.
Glad to have you. Glad for everything actually at this particular point. So I'm just chilling.
Great. And of course, you have Yuji there. Yuji Okimoto, the producer of the film as well. Thank you for being on board. And also, a staple of visual communications and the as well. So thanks for coming on board and participating in this panel. So, but Bao, let's talk about the Paper Tigers. Just in a nutshell, there's a lot. You were on this long, arduous journey with this film, and now it's out in the world now. So, but first of all, kind of like in a nutshell, what is the film about?
Well, the film is it's a Kung Fu dramedy. It is about these three Kung Fu classmates who grew up together, training as children, eating, breathing, and sleeping Kung Fu under the constant eye of their master, their Sifu. But unfortunately, things happen and life gets in the way, and they grow up and they grow apart from each other. And we find them here in modern day, and they find out that their master is mysteriously killed, and they have to find out what happened and perhaps avenge their master's death. So I guess we like to say it's like, imagine if you had to fight a death match, but you have to pick up your kid from soccer beforehand. So it's kind of the conflict of cultures, conflict of values, conflict of age and youth, and then also a story about friendship and family.
So what was the kind of like, I know you as a fan of, like, especially Hong Kong Kung Fu cinema, martial arts cinema over the years. You've actually, many of your mentors have been, instrumental in, shaping kind of classic Hong Kong action cinema. Can you talk about kind of like, basically, that's a story, but what was the kind of, was that the idea of just actually revisiting kind of, in a sense, like these, like, it's kind of like Three Ninjas, but now they're middle-aged now, right? So can you just talk about kind of that obsession, that idea behind that?
Yeah, it was definitely all that, the love of Hong Kong cinema and just kind of growing up and learning and falling in love with movies as a young kid through Hong Kong movies, and especially, Jackie Chan and all that generation, but also, practicing martial arts and the friends that you make along the way. And then unfortunately, that did happen. Time gets in the way, and we fall apart from each other. It's such an interesting emotion to be really close friends and with people that you would, be there 24/7 practically for years, but then suddenly, you suddenly take a left turn and things change and you don't see them anymore. In a lot of ways, we call it also like the Kung Fu Big Chill, in the sense that, these friends who are so tight and close knit, and that emotion of just coming back together, but the familiarity, but also the strangeness of getting back together. And that was kind of always an interesting emotion. And then to put that in martial arts world was also that too. And then I guess, shout out to VC, because, when I first had the story, I just had a one-page treatment back in 2011. And I think at the time, Anderson, you were coordinating the C3 when there was a project market with Milton and I had a page and I was like, is this enough? When everyone else had, had scripts, and you're like, yeah, just send it in. I get it. You're like, I understand what it is. So so thanks to you, we brought this monstrosity into the world because of C3, and we pitched it at that time, and then just kind of kept grinding, and here we are.
Yeah, and then just talking about, basically, this is very much a bootstrapped project, and going through getting community support, and then crowdfunding and whatnot. Can you talk about kind of the the strategy behind just getting this film off the ground? You actually, because you also worked with a lot of your friends are in the martial arts film scene, especially stunt coordinators, martial arts practitioners. A lot of them have their own stunt teams, and then showcase their kind of like their stuff online on YouTube and whatnot, right? So can you talk about kind of the inception of what was to kick off your campaign? It was basically, you actually started with a short film. Can you talk about that?
yeah, we wanted to kind of, what you could do is you shoot a little piece, an example, or a show of what you can do, a proof of concept. We shot a short film called The Challenger. It's kind of a short, silent fight film, just kind of showcase what we could do and in the world of Kung Fu, and then maybe start playing with some of the visual effects that we kind of knew that was going to be in the script, especially the slow motion vision and stuff like that. And then just start pitching from there. But there was nothing traditional about making this film in the sense that we had to, we had fits and starts. We had some financing and some people gave us some money through some crowdfunding, and but not all the money, right? So we actually had to shoot, the first 10 minutes of the film, which is, if you've seen it, it's kind of the period piece, the 80s and 90s period where our tigers are young and in their prime. And we shot that, 3 years ago, not knowing what our final cast would look like or our adult cast would look like. So it was a bit of a stab in the dark and kind of a leap in faith, leap into, the darkness, a leap of faith as far as like trying to figure out, if that would work. And it did. And we parlayed that footage that we shot, number one, into the movie, but also into a Kickstarter campaign, and just, trying to build awareness and out of that, and just showing like, hey, this is a small taste, and then the rest of the movie is we need you to help us make it. So yeah, it was just it's janky. I can't put it into the word, but it got us to where we are. I'll let the actors speak to this, but I do think it helped shooting the first young youth prime era and their actors, because it kind of informs where the adult actors are going to take it, because you kind of see them, how they work together when they're younger, and that's kind of the seed in terms of what their relationships are going to be like when they see each other in adulthood.
And then, but then, so you shot the short film, you did the crowdfunding, and you had several crowdfunding campaigns, but you also, like you said, mentioned earlier that, you kind of, I guess the first foray into introducing this project into the, I would say, marketplace or scene was with the C3 project market many years ago. But you've also participated in other project markets as well, including, can you talk about Frontiers at Fantasia, and also your presentation at the Cannes film market as well?
Yeah, so another similar market for genre films, so it's called the Frontiers, and it's co-sponsored by the Fantasia Film Festival, which we world premiered at a few weeks ago, and also a cooperation with the Cannes Marché, the market side. So basically, they would support films that are still in development, especially mainly genre films, definitely genre films, and trying to get them financing and advice and consulting on how to package the film together, just kind of the nuts and bolts on the business side of putting the movie together. Because oftentimes I think it's needed. It was so valuable because oftentimes labs and markets tend to kind of lean more towards more dramatic work or indie orient. We are indie, but I guess what would be the word? More dramatic work. So
Yeah.
genre tends to be overlooked, so it's great to have like a genre specific lab that just is kind of like focused on building and packaging films like ours.
Right.
And we were able to present at Cannes, the film festival of the market side, we were able to present at different stages. We had that footage, like I mentioned, the first 10 minutes of film. We made the pitch trailer out of that. And then this year we were to present, more fully formed scenes, because we actually had shot the film now, and it was virtual this year, but we presented scenes to buyers and distributors and film festivals that were scouting there.
So it's very much like kind of like showing the evolution of the film, like maybe in the earlier, like maybe the presentations you did like last year or 2 years ago, I don't recall, but like, was basically you were still in production or about to go into production, and then like this recent one was basically you were pretty much done, but so you were basically aiming for more like territory sales, right, or something like that, right? So to sell the film essentially
yeah, and it's a tricky thing because it's a balance, because usually when you show footage, it's a proof of concept. Sometimes you shoot almost a trailer version or a snippet or some type of I don't know, greatest hits of the script. But because we said that's kind of a waste of time, frankly, and money, like let's just shoot pages of the script. It'll end up in the movie and we're going to use it. it may not necessarily, it may be more challenging to reflect, you know, what the movie or the mood reel, but you
Right.
know, we got footage in the can. So to us, it's all about like, you know, chomping down yards and getting down the field, and as opposed to just like, you know, here's footage that's a mood reel, and here's a proof of concept, and here's
Right.
and that stuff. I think you get stuck in that and you'll never get a movie, frankly.
Was that by design, or just because it was just by happenstance? Like, oh, we can just shoot the flashbacks because, you know, it will be different actors anyway, versus like, you know, just shooting something, a proof of concept, and like you're gonna trash it later on and just redo it again, right? So
Yeah. I think definitely by design, but intentional design, in the sense that, you know, we looked at the script and we just said, logistically, how could we make that work? But it was you know, it's pretty ballsy to do it, because, you know, we had no idea if we could even make the rest of the money and make the movie. Otherwise, you know, you're dropping a bit of money to shoot this, and then if it becomes vaporware, then that's the risk. Or,
Right.
you know, but yeah, we just knew, I guess, in our minds, and, you know, usually can speak to that, but as far as like, you know, we just knew that it was going to get made either now or later. And if we shoot the younger cast, we won't have them in the rest of the scenes. And, you know, we don't run the risk of them aging out or you know, changing their look and getting tattoos or something.
Right.
So continuity would not be, you know, an issue. So we just, you know, we wanted to shoot it. So.
Yeah. Usually, I mean, you know, many people know your work as an actor, obviously chosen from Choreography Part 2, but you coming on board as a producer. What was your, you know, I mean, what stage did you come into the project? And also, you know, what was, I guess, insider duties that you had to bring into, you know, make the project happen?
Wow. I came into the project about 20 years ago, and I'm joking. It feels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long process. As far as, you know, how this whole thing came about, I think, you know, Bao and I had known each other from working together in the past on films up here in Seattle. And, you know, I just read the script. I liked it. The team that he had put together, Michael Velasquez and Alan Duong at the time, you know, I really liked the guys. I think it was about, you know, coming together and having that same attitude of creating a vehicle for minorities, something that, you know, I wish there were more of. And this was such a heartfelt, good script that it seemed like a no-brainer. But yeah, basically, it was just all the logistics of bringing in, you know, the crew and the cast and, you know, all that stuff. I mean, it was pretty daunting, because the process how it all began was, you know, we had to raise the funds, and then once those funds finally came through, then it was, you know, we got to fly, because by the time those funds came through, it was, I want to say, July sometime. And so, you know, up here in Seattle, we know that we have to contend with the weather. Once we get into the fall, it just rains and rains. So we thought we got to move. So I wish we had more time for a pre-pro, but I think that's something that, you know, in hindsight, I wish we had more of. But you know, that's basically how this whole process went.
Yeah.
You had 9 years of pre-pro.
Yeah, I had 6.
I mean, did you also? I mean, I know because you're also, you know, also a restaurateur. You know, I mean, in the Seattle area, and
Right.
you know, and then, you know, me as a born and raised in Hawaii, you know, I'm living here in Los Angeles, and like, you know, I always lament that I can't find great local food, local Hawaii food. You know, but Seattle Kona Kitchen, go to that place.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
legit. It's totally
Thanks.
legit.
Thanks, Anderson. The check is in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, I expect that testimony on the website. So, but that's actually a good, perfect segue. And then, Bao, you can talk about, you know, casting your main actors. You know, you had to cast like Danny, Hing, and Jim. I believe the names are, you know, the 3 brother, so to speak, right? And then like, can you talk about the casting process and getting these fine gentlemen on board?
Yeah, if Ron, I'll speak to Ron first because Ron we had known through Yuji. Yeah, oh, hey, Ron's in the
Perfect
house.
timing.
There you go, Ron. There you go.
Okay, stop talking about Ron. Stop talking about Ron now. We're done.
Sorry, guys.
Hey. We're just speaking of casting. So
Okay.
yeah, Ron is good friends with Yuji. So we had started that conversation with Ron a little bit earlier as far as playing Hing. So we kind of knew that he was going to be able to hold it down, especially with his great martial arts experience and all his film experience was just a great natural fit with the character. From finding Elaine and Mikhail, now that was really fun because this came through our casting director Yumi Takada in terms of just being able to put the net out, because I think we wanted to also look beyond the typical circle or the circles that we knew as far as martial arts actors or martial arts specific stuntmen or stunt actors, and really want to be able to find people that could give these characters a life. So we did put out this casting reach out from Yumi, and then that's how we saw Elaine and Mikhail's tapes. And then it was just it felt like it was really quick, actually. I don't think the casting was that drawn out. I think when we started seeing tapes initially, started casting, even to what Yuji was saying, given our short pre-pro, we just, our decisions were very easy to make and happened to be swift, and we were able to find, and Elaine and Mikhail can certainly tell it from their perspective of dealing with us.
Yeah, so who wants to start?
Hey, I want to start. Hey, Ron, where's your hat? We sent out a memo, me and Mikhail.
Are you serious?
No, I'm totally messing around. I'm totally
going out. He gonna get one too much.
Yeah.
There you go. We got a match.
Work with
it. There you go.
Here's the hat.
Nice.
There you go. At least for me, I think the audition process was a lot of fun. I think my manager and my rep told me about the project, and like anything else, you're always looking to make sure that the script is telling the truth and it's something that you can be proud of. But the minute I spoke to Bao about the project, and I remember we were doing a Skype call, and I auditioned with Yuji too. I think he was in the room for the last reading. You kind of just instinctively know that you're in good hands with someone like Bao and Yuji and his team. And then I think through the process of the rehearsals leading up to the actual shooting, it was one of those, like I said, it's like everything seemed to be working right. And you could just hope and pray that we could all hold on to this roller coaster ride that we were about to embark on, because it is like independent, movie making. You just don't know how things are going to go. And, just having that kind of foundation that they've created from all the 5, was it 20 years now? You're joking, but that's a lot of work that you put on there. And for them to allow us to breathe life into these characters that they've been sort of holding on to, to give us that responsibility was really, humbling. So at least for me, that was my perspective in the casting process and how things came about. And when I found that Ron was going to be in it, because Ron and I worked on a video game project like years ago, I was like, holy shit. Yeah, Battlefield 4. That was, for me, I was like, this is great. Like, I love Ron. Ron's going to be fantastic to work with. So from there, it was a go time, so to speak.
And my experience was completely different. I don't know nobody. I do agree with my man Elaine when he spoke about, like, I read the script and I was like, are you sure this dude's supposed to be black? Because I mean, now it just wasn't one of those obvious things. So my agent was like, no, they look for an African American that says, this guy's me. This guy's me, flat out, this guy's me. And she's like, yeah, well, I'll set up the thing and do your thing, and then we'll see. And I read it again, and I turned to my wife and I said, this thing could be one or two things. It could be corny, and be like not telling nobody, but this could mess around and be special, and I want everybody to know. She's like, well, how are you gonna know which one it is? And I said, the problem is I won't be able to know until I meet the people doing it. Because if they're playing at this, if it's a joke and it's not, the relationships aren't authentic, like, then we're just three clowns. Like, and she's like, so will you accept it without meeting them? And I said, well, I'm gonna meet the producer and director in a second. Then they popped on for a Zoom read, and he had some dude in the room who I thought was cast already, because he was really acting hard with him. He was really bringing it, which I liked. And I was like, okay. So we played for like an hour, which is the longest I've ever been. I've been in some rooms for a long time, but like to just let somebody go, like that was like anything for. He's trying to get all the juice, and I was trying to give it to him too. Trust me. So it's like an hour, 5 minutes. One of my boys that snuck into the house, he was over there watching. He was like, man, this is balling right now. I said, just be quiet. So when I got off the Zoom, I called my agent. I was like, I don't give a damn what happens. Do not let these dudes cast nobody else. And you tell them, you just give me some time. Like, I mean, I'm trying to give him what I think he's looking for, but I want to be true to myself in that. And all I really have is myself, but there's just so many ways Jim could be brought to life. And I just want to make sure that they knew that I was willing to find that, because I didn't have these two wonderful actors next to me to just tell me. But they called and they were like, let's do it again. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, so we're gonna do it again. So we did it again. And now I know I want it, because like now the whole the camera opened up and I could see they had like daughters in the room, and I'm like, oh, this is like a family affair. Like they're all watching this go down. And when they hung up the phone, I had like 4 or 5 more ideas of how I thought Jim could come to life. So I shot him and I emailed him over. Like, I'll just keep these things going until they hire me. And so when he called, and it was funny because I was in the kitchen when they called, and I didn't recognize the number, and I picked it up cautiously. And he said he was going to give me an opportunity to bring Jim to life. And my wife thought I hurt myself because I just was yelling right into the house. And then I held the phone and I got terrified. I said, oh God, I forgot about the most important thing. Like, who is Ahim? Who is? So they call and they go, we're going to all meet up at this thing, which is 5 minutes from my house, which I'm excited about. I'm like, oh, this is 5 minutes from my house. I'm gonna go meet him. And my wife's like, oh, I can't wait to see you when you get home. So I walk in the room, I don't know anybody. And Val, first time this has ever been done, I come from a theatrical background, so I'm used to like improv and scene study and scene analysis, but I never really seen it done for film. Like, he was allowing us to create history. I'm like looking at like, so I don't want to go for it. So luckily he's like, so we'll just put Ryan Lane together first. I was like, good, because I don't want to go first. And then those dudes started living this, started bringing these two brothers to life. And it was deep, like it was real, deep. And I was like looking at Val, like, is he gonna let those dudes get away with that? Like, so Val's like, steps in, says something, he wants it deeper. Like, I was like, oh. I call my wife on my phone, like, oh, we're gonna do something really, really good, because these dudes want the real. So like, at that point, I couldn't wait to get Seattle. I was like, I get these two dudes and that guy who's just creating rooms to grow and experience. Like, all he wants is it to be right. And I hadn't met Yuji yet. And then I get to Seattle and like, I'm paranoid because you hear all these things about Seattle, and I'm Black. I know you have it. It's hard to tell. The lighting's not quite right. I'm black.
Hey, wait, you're black? Really?
Yeah, I know. Chalky. So I landed.
I mean, you got so much stories, man. I tell you, man. But like, let's. I know, but let's bring Ron into this now, because you are the third brother. You know
All right, I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And no, but just to echo what everyone's saying and what Val was saying earlier. Yeah, Yuji came to me with the script and just called me. He's like, "Yo, I want you to look at this, blah blah blah." And he's spoken about it before, because we've been like talking about it through different projects and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, dude, I want to read it. So, and when I read it, I was just like, this is special, man. Like, for me, I haven't seen a script like this that talks about like guys, past their prime and going through their stuff and just the dynamics between the three Tigers. And because, Jim is black and all this stuff and just all the baggage that we had, it was a beautiful thing. So I called back Huge, like, dude, I'm down. And then Huge spoke about Bao, and, just for me, and I think I could speak for everyone, and it was great. The rehearsals were, we were finding our stuff, and Bao was encouraging the improvs, and it was like how we do theater, so, and I come from theater as well, and just the whole process and meeting the brothers, and we just, all three of us just clicked, even while we were in Seattle, any time off, we'd be getting together, just running stuff and just making sure, because everyone cared, everyone loved the script, everyone was inspired. So, yeah.
So, Bao, I mean, you're talking about like, you got your cast and all that stuff, and also, you got you're ready to shoot, but I mean, this is it's coming of age or middle of a second coming of age story in a way, for when it comes to kind of midlife crisis and what have you. It's kind of like got these classic tropes of like, a sense of brotherhood that you see in a lot of classic Hong Kong films. But in the end of the day, this is an action martial arts movie, right? So, I mean, can you talk about kind of the fight choreography, doing that on a small budget, and also, I mean, I don't think all of the actors here are, aside from Ron's got the fight martial arts experience, but can you just talk about kind of like getting it all together, making it as realistic but as fun as you can on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, first of all, I mean, it's all kind of a testament to the hard work of our action director. So shout out to Ken Kitigua and his action team, Sam Loke and Kerry Wong. In terms of just designing, because, we followed a little bit more of kind of the Hong Kong Asian filmmaking model, where you have kind of an action unit that works with the cast or the fight team, and then kind of designing, and even down to the shots and figuring out, what that design is, as opposed to, kind of more of a fight choreographer who just comes up with the movements, and everyone else who may not have experience shooting fight scenes, has to figure out how to cover it. So it's we definitely want to do, that glove in hand type of design for action. And I think the interesting thing is just trying to figure out what was right for the story, because, we can come up with stuff that was flashy and cool, but, what was more right for these three dudes that are, of varying skills and age and ability. So it's something like trying to fit that, we weren't trying to do, it's not a Raid Redemption, it's not a John Wick, but what are specific to these characters and their action style. It could be sloppy. And then how do you embrace that sloppy without making it look like a bad take? Like there's a fine line between a bad take and then the sloppiness that we were trying to go for, which is, kind of like the tricky thing. And it was kind of new territory for all of us, but I think that was a challenge that we really interested by.
And then for the actors, where do you guys have, I mean, I know this is kind of like, not to say, I mean, it's a very truncated schedule, because, once you're flown to Seattle, and then you got to start, hit the ground running. But, I mean, how was the training process, if there was any training process in getting into kind of like getting to the groove of the fight choreography and stuff like that? Maybe Ron, I mean, since you have those experience first, and then maybe, you can join. Yeah.
No, yeah, the guys were great. We all had rehearsal too, just like we had rehearsal for the the acting scenes. But I think what stressed me out was when we did the rehearsals, 1 week of rehearsals in LA before, I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks later before we had to go to Seattle, right, Bao? Something like that. But Bao and I had a one-on-one, right? Because he really wanted me to be out of shape. So I was proud. I was like, I felt like I already gained like 35 pounds, had a belly. And he was just like, dude, you're not fat enough. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Look at this belly. He's just like, no, you still look like you're working out, all that stuff. I want to see fat on your arms and shoulders. I'm just going, oh man, we got a week and a half. So yeah, so from that week and a half, I would just stay up eating late and just like eat as much as I could, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, then then with the bros, like we go to Seattle, I'm like pouring soy sauce and everything. I just want to get bloated so I could get more fat.
Man.
Just in case Bao was like, dude, you're not fat enough, man. So yeah, like I'm eating all that stuff. But then and then when we got to the training stuff, for me, yeah, it's just so much fun. I always love, working with the action team because that is part of my background too. And just, I think we grew together as a unit, and I've worked with Carrie and Sam before, and it was great to meet Ken. And yeah, they were awesome because we went through just different drills, rehearsals, and then like, as far as like the choreo, they actually thought about each character, how each character would have their kind of little own unique kind of thing. And also because we're all out of shape and not the same as when we were younger. So it was actually kind of fun finding those little moments, even in the choreo.
Alain, I mean, as the, in the basically the final battle, right? So can you talk about your experience and like participating in kind of like the big fight at the end of the movie?
Yeah, that was, one of those things, as, to parrot what Ron was saying, when you read the script, you go, okay, there's X amount of fights going on here. How much progress does this person have when we first meet them does he ever really regain that expertise and that quickness he had back in, when he was younger? And, they were really emphasized the notion of like, no, that this isn't so much about the refinement of the skill, but rather that we should approach each fight as if it is its own visual story. Like even in the last fight scene, I'm sure everyone who's seen this, I don't know if I should spoil anything, but there are 3 rounds, and that's in some ways the 3-act structure of the character that is Danny. And I found that to be really, that's when I knew that there, Bao and the team, the fight, Kenny and everybody was thinking on a completely different level, which is how do we convey visually what Danny is and who he is in this like last round or last fight sequence. And I thought that was really impressive. And like anything else, I do have some martial arts background. I was in Taekwondo when I was a kid, but most of my training is through movement and through dance. And so, I was able to, in some ways, understand some of the movement, and it was a crash course. I do remember Ron in that first rehearsal, just sitting in the corner, just stretching. I'm like, oh man, this guy's gonna be a badass. How the fuck am I gonna handle? How am I gonna do this? I'm nowhere near Ron's level at all. And then so, but I showed him what I could do, and even through the audition process, it was like, I remember telling my manager, I was like, I'm rusty. Like I'm really rusty. I could do it, but I'm rusty. And but it all lends itself to the whole premise of the story, which is these characters would be rusty in this situation.
Yeah.
Because they're so far removed from it. But yeah, that's in some ways my experience through the fight choreography and everything else. And they were, really attentive to what we had to say in terms of like, oh, I don't know if I can make that move, or I'm really excited about that. Can we lean towards that? And so I think that was really, that collaborative creative effort was really present in the rehearsal process.
Yeah, I have to say, I just got to add one thing. In the 80s and 90s, right? Like, there was all these like B action films. I did a lot of those, right? So back in those days, people are always like, yo, let me get in one more hit, man, before I go down, or this or that. And just, no, I got to look more heroic. With the 3 of us, we were like, yo, he should hit me right here. Like I just love that aspect of it. Yeah. Right.
Now, you know, for the fight choreography, were you? I mean, are you the type of director who wants to plan it out way ahead of time and you storyboard it or anything like that, or are you much more collaborative when it comes to kind of like going to the location and then figuring it out from there? What is your process when it comes to fight choreography?
Well, I mean that type of that type of design, you know, defers to, you know, the action director. But yeah, in terms of like, yeah, planning always helps. I think we always want to kind of figure out what makes sense for the location and also the type of talent that we have and their abilities. So it's one thing to kind of like conceive of choreography in your head, but then you see people's body frames and they move differently, or they might, you know, be, you know, a lefty versus a righty, or something as simple as that. And you might have to kind of make shifts around that. So, I mean, definitely, you know, like I said, glove in hand type of style, but, you know, trying to, you know, create, you know, some type of visual language or some type of storytelling through visuals. Because I mean, fight scenes are, you know, like to me, like, you know, silent storytelling, you know, it's through visuals.
Yeah. I think, you know, we have maybe about 10 minutes left, but if anyone in the audience viewing wants to ask any questions, just please, you know, put them in the Q&A box. And we can, you know, if we have time, we'll ask these questions to the cast and crew of Paper Tigers. But, you know, talking about the film, you know, you world premiered at the Asia Film Festival. You and now are on the festival circuit, you know, and it was just announced last week, you know, I believe last week that, you know, Well Go USA, you know, distributor in North America has picked up your film, has bought the film for distribution. So congratulations. And if you don't know what Well Go USA, they're you know, they've released the Ip Man movies. They released Train to Busan. You know, they know their shit, you know, and this is kind of Paper Tigers is very much in the kind of in their wheelhouse, you know, like it's like, so Bao, I mean, talking about this film, I mean, and maybe Yuji, you can come, you can chime in too. I mean, this is like, we live in this, you know, obviously very strange times, you know, when you have like, you know, I mean, no big deal, just a global pandemic, you know, theaters are shut down, you know, theatrical, distribution is just kind of topsy-turvy in a way, you know, our president apparently has COVID, you know, so, I mean, like, it's just like, can you just talk about, you know, how are you going to pivot? What is your, you know, like, I mean, you look at the rise of drive-ins, you know, drive-ins are making a big comeback. And in a way, I think, not to say this is good or bad, but like with the Paper Tigers, I think the film itself, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of the film that everyone wants to see, you know, because it's kind of, it's a very much, you know, an underdog story. It has, you know, it's got classic tropes, but at the same time, but you know, these are things that people want to laugh about. They want to, and then feel good about. And I think that in that sense, I think this film is kind of like, it's kind of not, I'm not to say it's a perfect storm for a film to be released like this, but it's such a great opportunity to really kind of like get this, rethink at how to get this film out there. And now that you've got this distributor now, and you know, and hopefully, and I assume, I know you are working on other deals around the world, but can you just talk about kind of like figuring this all out, and when the film is eventually released theatrically or commercially or what have you?
Yeah. Yuji, you want to take it? Big question. This is a big question.
Yuji's like, what? Huh?
What was the first thing?
You know, I mean, I mean, you know, just figuring things out. I mean, when it comes out, you guys have a distributor now in North America.
Yeah, right.
But basically, you know, I mean, in this, you know, we're living in this pandemic where, you know, traditionally, you know, I mean, some theaters are reopening now, but at the same time, people, I mean, the distributors are looking at different ways to distribute their films. So how are you gonna navigate all through this morass of like?
Yeah, I think it's faith, you know, hope. You know, you just gotta believe in your distributor. You gotta believe in all the people that are behind this project. You know, there's no real answer, you know, that you can definitively say it should go this way or that way. I mean, ultimately, we want to get into theaters, and hopefully that'll happen with Wellgo. You know, it's just, I just believe that we have such a good product that I think that no matter where it goes, I think we will achieve that success. But right now, I mean, it's so difficult to navigate through what's going on. But you know, you just hope that you know, your people do what they're supposed to do. And also, I think it's up to us as producers, and you know, just trying to do whatever we can to get eyeballs on the film. You know, it doesn't end with just a sale or a distribution of your film. It's constantly staying on top of it and being in the game, and making sure that people see the film. I mean, bottom line, it's just the work has to come from us.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying
And
like, you know, go ahead, Val.
yeah, and I think that it doesn't come from us, but like the feedback that you're saying, I think it definitely is a crowd film. So we just want to find some way, you know, whether it's drive-in or a very distant, you know, type of screening. But at the end of the day, it is the power of just seeing it with a crowd and hearing a crowd laugh and cheer together. I mean, that's why we made the movie, and just kind of have that type of gathering experience. So yeah, whatever it looks like, we don't know, but we're gonna try to make it happen.
I mean, if there's any time for disruption, you know, I mean, like, it's like disruption in the marketplace. I mean, you look at, like, you know, I mean, Ron's like Mulan, like, you know, like it's what Disney Plus did, you know, with the, you know, the PVOD model and all that stuff. Like that would have traditionally would not have happened. But like, you know, I mean, this is like, you know, so it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's well, we look forward to seeing the film. I mean, definitely. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting the film out there in the marketplace. But I mean, what are I know this is still fresh news when it comes to the, you know, the announcement that Wogo has picked up the film. But is there kind of a, you know, a release date yet or anything like that?
Tentatively, it's going to be late spring, so April or May 2021.
Okay.
So for USA and Canada, and all that. What theaters and all that was still TBD, but that's what Wogo's, you know, commitment is doing, and we're really excited that they've stated their plans, and we're going to make it happen.
Great. And then in the meantime, you'll have, like, you know, you're still on the festival circuit. You're, you know, you're playing at other festivals as well, getting the word out. What is the best way for you know, people to get in touch and get up-to-date news regarding the Paper Tigers?
Well, Ron's personal mobile number is go to thepapertigersmovie.com. It'll have all our social handles, and then the film festival news. Once you go to the website, you'll be able to find out, you know, the best way to follow our mailing list or social media.
Okay. I mean, so maybe this is for the actors. I think we only got like maybe a minute or 2 minutes left, but sequel? I don't know. It's up to you guys. It's up to you. Like, is it?
Mikhail,
Yes?
you're mute. You're on mute, Mikhail. Mikhail, you're on mute. Unmute.
Mikhail, you're on mute. Mikhail,
Yeah, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Unmute yourself,
Seattle, before we left Seattle, the three of us looked at each other and we said, no matter what is going on in the universe, we come back for the sequel.
Yep.
So,
No matter what.
we believe in we believed before we ever saw one frame, just with all the environment that they created, Val and Eugene, and that just the love and the energy that we were creating was going to create something special. So, like, I'm ecstatic about the fact that we're getting little bitty bunches of folks to agree with us. So, like, it's like all they got to do is flood the theaters, and then it's a wrap. Then they gonna pull us back, and then we gonna give you more. That's all it is to it. Val already got the pen and paper, don't you, Val? Yep.
Wow, yeah. I mean, franchise potential, Val?
Oh yeah, totally. We have a Disney ride that's coming up. We got all that going.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's Alan or Ron, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
I mean, I think I could also, like, everyone would agree that it was such a special journey, and it still is. But for me, I have my hats off to, like, you know, UG, Alan, and all the producers and Val. Like, they just put us in this world that we were able to just gel, like me, Mikkel, and Elaine, where we just bonded. And I think that's, for us to get that kinetic energy, and that, you know, that you have to believe that we've been friends for so long. And I think, you know, that speaks a lot for the production, because they put in the time and the effort and allowed through the production and scheduling for rehearsals, for, you know, the acting, improv, for all this stuff, for the script reads. And I think that's what really makes this like an incredible journey for all of us, because everyone was passionate about this project. Every crew member, every actor, and it's what makes me love like doing this.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to everybody out there who watched this and who will continue to watch it throughout the festivals. I think it's really important for us, for really everybody who was involved, like Ron said, that we're able to sort of enjoy this moment, given the time that we're having, how chaotic life is at this moment. But I think this film is also a testament to perseverance, and you know, it's interesting to me that that's what the movie is also about. But really, it's a story. It's like Inception. It's like the story within the story, and this film itself is that journey that this thing took. I think it's something that should be applauded. It's very inspirational to me as a person who's an artist, and obviously everybody here is a filmmaker, and I applaud them, and I want to say congratulations to everybody who was involved in this project. Ron, Mikkel, you know, Bao, Yuji, everybody. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it and to sort of run the last leg of the race that I keep saying, the marathon. But you guys ran like the, you know, the other miles that we already ran. Yeah, so thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of it.
And can I say something really quick? I'd like to also say thank you to all the actors and all the producers, Michael Velasquez, Alan Duong, and Dan Gildark, who, without them, I mean, man, this stuff would have never happened. And also I want to thank Welgo, and especially to thank XYZ Films, and what's the other, XYZ and
AMP is going to be yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And also thank VC for having us. Without you guys, you know, we'd have no platform for, you know, a voice in for Asian Americans and minorities. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Papers Tigers team for being part of the C3 panel, Artist Talk, and we're about to wrap, and I gotta say some closing remarks. Let's see.
Yeah, go get your tickets.
Get your tickets. Yeah, exactly.
Get your tickets, homie. It's gonna be gone, and then you're gonna be out. Like, you got to the 11th to get your ticket.
Don't forget, get your tickets, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's still available now. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. Viewing window closes Sunday night. If you enjoyed this conversation in the festival lineup, please consider donating to Visual Communications. Your support will help sustain our year-round operations and programming. Go to vcmedia.org for more info. Be sure to stick around for the next conversation. The Female Gaze, for the most recent updates on the festival, please visit festival.vcmedia.org or follow us on our social media accounts at VC Film Festival. Don't forget to tag us on hashtag LAAPFF 2020. All right, guys, thank you so much. Round of applause to the Paper Tigers team. And watch this film and support it when it comes out in 2021. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you, VC.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.